Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? We're coming to you live from California today with another Facebook announcement. We are thrilled to announce today Scott Fuller is joining us at eXp, and I'm so thrilled about this conversation because I think the top 5 reasons that you gave for joining eXp are going to shock some people. I think for agents that have been watching all the mega agents that have been joining, and they're like, yeah, maybe for y'all this makes sense, but it doesn't make sense for me. I think that there's some insights today that are really going to help agents see the vision and the reason that this isn't just for you got to be doing 200-300 transactions for it to make sense, that this is a smart business decision. And
absolutely.
And I'm really excited for us to share. I think people will be really surprised about your number one reason too. So I'm really excited about that. Brett Jennings, my good friend, also mega agent, and one of the just most brilliant minds that I've had the opportunity of working with in real estate. Glad to have you with us here today and bringing Scott into eXp and being here for the announcement, guys.
We're excited to be here, man.
Jay,
excited.
thanks, man. Right on. Awesome. We're real excited.
So first, let's start just because I think your marketplace is East Bay, right, and San Francisco. Is that right? So tell us a little bit about your market, just so there's some people that are watching that maybe they don't, maybe they haven't done a transaction with you or haven't done business with you in the past. But tell me a little bit about your market, just so people can kind of get a grasp of why you made the move.
Our market varies a little bit. I mean, we've got kind of the East County area where you're looking at home prices that might be, $350,000, $400,000, $500,000, and then we've got some high-end prices. They're going to be in the multi-million. So we've got a pretty good range, and we've got a lot of a variety of agents out here as well. You've got agents who are doing kind of the average 5 to 10 deals a year. You've got some heavy hitters, and the opportunity here, I think, for eXp. It's just fantastic. I mean, it's newer in this area. You ask most agents, have you heard of it? They would say, nope, haven't heard of it. Great. You probably haven't, just the same that, 25 years ago, you hadn't heard of Keller Williams Realty or some of the other, big box brands. So we're excited to get things moving in this area.
So what, walk us through kind of, your situation. You did what, 24, 25 transactions last year, 20 million. I guess the average sale price is obviously really high there.
Yep.
I didn't have that luxury in real estate, so that's awesome. And what, you've been at Keller Williams 7-8 years, right?
Yeah. So I basically, I was kind of a transfer from the technology industry back in the early 2000s. So worked for IBM, worked for PeopleSoft, a tech guy, wanted to try something different and get off the road. So in 2001, I got my real estate license. Did mortgages for about 4 or 5 years, and then got into some out-of-state investment real estate because the prices were so high in California, it didn't make sense to invest here. It was about, I think, 2009 is when I got into the local sales environment and joined a local brokerage here. Good company, and at that time everybody was doing short sales, and I think this is about the time when Brett got into the business as well. First transaction was a short sale. Nobody wanted to do them; they didn't like them. And I figured, well, if I'm going to bust into this market, I've got to figure out, kind of get a niche. And so we started off, or myself individually started off doing short sales. We got up to about, maybe myself, I got up to about 15 short sale listings. And obviously those are very labor intensive. And so, at that point I went to my broker and I said, hey, look, I need to scale. I need to be able to hire some staff, be able to, operate with a little bit more efficiency. And I said, what do you suggest? And he handed me like a Tom Ferry one sheet and he goes, here, review this. Well, that right there, was pretty much a sign that I'm at the wrong place. So I did some research, took me over to KW. They had absolutely the systems and operations in place to help me grow my business, the support that I needed. And at that time, and about 2011 is when I hired my assistant. And, that kind of 7 years later brought me to today.
That's awesome. So what was going through your mind, right? So obviously Brett and you obviously follow him probably on Facebook and everything else.
Yep.
What was the process? Because you weren't, were you looking to move? Were you looking was that even a part of the process? How did you come to not thinking about moving to eXp, moving brokerages to making that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. I had no intention of making a move. In fact, a lot of agents who are veteran, who do a decent amount of business, they're getting called by recruiters from a lot of different companies, and the recruiters are doing their job trying to, get new people, into the business, into their business, I should say. And, I thought about it and took a lot of calls, didn't go on any interviews, because I looked at it and I said, Keller Williams has an excellent model. From the training, from the growth, from everything else, there's nothing else better out there that's going to suit my business objectives. And so I hadn't made any considerations. And I was looking at it saying, if I was going to make a move to a different company, it's going to be a lateral move at best. And most likely it's going to be a less than lateral move because, they're coming from the objective of saying, we've got this great technology, we've got this great marketing, we've got this and that. Well, it's hard to, quantify that, right? You make a lot of claims, but how do you actually quantify that on how that's going to help your business? So I had no intention of moving. And I think, a while back, Brett and I have known each other for about, maybe 5 or 6 years. So we've been kind of, working together, masterminding together, sitting down, sharing ideas and things like that. Obviously, he's been ultra successful in his business in San Jose. And, we've kept in touch over the years. And I think a while back, I saw one of these Facebook Lives with Brett. And I said, I haven't talked to this guy in like 3 months. What's going on? So I watched it and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was like, this is amazing. So at that point, it got me into thinking, would this be, a possible, a probable opportunity for me to look into for myself since I hadn't looked at, making a change. And so that's how we kind of got to this point.
So, go ahead, Brett.
No, Scott and I, there's certain agents you can connect with as an agent in your community where, I call it co-opetition, right? I mean, we're competitors. Actually, Scott and I aren't in the same sandbox. He's in Danville. I'm in Silicon Valley and more towards San Jose, Los Gatos. So we're not right, actually direct competitors, but to be able to connect with agents that are forward thinking and really want to grow their business. That's what brought Scott and I together initially, because we were looking at doing some radio advertising at one point that we did. The advertising didn't work out, but this relationship still sustained because we're both growth minded. We both want to grow our businesses, and that that's the common thread that I see among all the people that are kind of making this move to this cloud-based brokerage model that actually, it's kind of counterintuitive in the sense that with a cloud-based model, you think, okay, well, there's no more we're not all aggregating in that office on Tuesdays or whatever it is for the local weekly office meeting, but we're actually more connected now, in this cloud-based model. Scott and I are back in touch and in relationship in a deeper way than we were over the last few years. And that's, when I personally stepped back myself and looked at this thing and before making my move, the deciding factor for me really was it got me back into relationship at a deeper level with those peers, the people that I would travel to go view and visit with at mastermind groups. So it was Gary Keller's group in his top 100, or if it was the NAEA mastermind. And those relationships are the things that really drove my business forward. Coaching is great and it's helpful, but it's really that peer group. And so anyway, Scott, it's cool that we're back in communication, and it sounds like that was one of the things that just kind of piqued your curiosity.
Absolutely, yeah. So I saw I saw your guys' presentation, and I thought this is interesting. So I immediately went into the mode of researching, getting some more information. I dug up about 15 agents currently with eXp in the East Bay, and I called them up. I just said, hey, why did you move? Where'd you come from? What were you looking for? How's the experience been? And these are agents that have been with eXp anywhere from maybe 3 months to 15 months. Maybe they're doing, the production levels kind of vary as well. But everything came back, just a resounding yes. It was an absolute great decision. It's a game changer for my business. It's more than I thought it would be. So that really kind of helped to validate my decision in moving forward. And, of course, did a lot of research, watched a lot of webinars, things like that. But I still had a few concerns, about going to a cloud-based brokerage. This is such a new model that I think, people are trying to get their head around. How does it work, right? How does the support work? And that was one of my biggest things. How does the support work in this type of a model? You're used to a brick and mortar where you go into your brokerage. Let's say you need some transactional support, you need some tech support, something like that. You go into your office, you go to the right person. They might be there. They might be out to lunch. You might have to make an appointment. But generally speaking, you're going to get the answer that you need pretty quickly. Now, we run pretty autonomously because we've got some great systems in place and we don't need a lot of that support. But, we still depend on that to have somebody there. And the thing that I found with the eXp World application, it's just unbelievable. So we've been able to go in there, and for people who aren't familiar with this, it's kind of a virtual reality campus where you're going in and there's these different departments. You're walking in and you're talking to the tech support people. You walk in this virtual reality campus, you go into the tech department, there's 3 or 4 people standing right there, these avatars waiting to talk to you. I've got a headset on just like this. I go in, they'll sit you down, they'll talk to you about it, they'll get your problem resolved right away. In fact, I had my assistant here yesterday. She had a question on, how they integrate SkySlope, because we've used that previously. And I said, hey, take the driver's seat, sit down and try this out. And she got on there and she's like, this is unbelievable. I can't, how quickly you get responses with this is just nothing that I ever would have dreamed of. So the support to me is actually even better. The other concern, that I had to research coming in is the culture. How do you define a culture in a cloud-based brokerage? It's pretty easy to define when you're brick and mortar because you're rubbing shoulders with people, you're in the same office every day, you're talking to people, but how does that actually work when we're talking everything, it's kind of virtual? And that took me to, doing some research on the company itself. And I found some information from Business Insider. They posted some information saying that 99% of people in the company they say the company has a positive business outlook. Now, these aren't agents. These are actually employees, 200 plus of their support staff. It said that 99% of employees would recommend working at eXp Realty to a friend, and 100% of the employees approved of the CEO, Glenn Sanford. So that speaks a lot to me about the culture itself. Now, that's not even including everything that we found online with a lot of the private Facebook groups, different things like that. But I think that the opportunity we have as agents and brokers in different areas is to create this culture. We can create the culture however we want to do it and be able to really put something together, in my opinion, that's very special, that's very different and unique.
No question. One of the things that I've noticed that was a little bit surprising, I think, as it relates to the culture at eXp is how much the business model has just aligned people to be always thinking of how can I help somebody. It's incredible across the entire company how helpful everyone is. And it was one of the things that I used to dislike the most about my dad's brokerage, which was Coldwell Banker. And before I went independent, I was at my dad's brokerage. And the thing that drove me crazy was the agents in the office they all complained. They were just the people that you just didn't want to hang out with, to the degree that I actually. And the running joke has been that I've moved into the trailer house next door. It was not a trailer house, but it was probably, at some point in time, it might have had wheels. I don't know, but it was, rocked up and on a foundation now. But, and it was just this building that my dad owned that was next door. And I was like, I got to get away from these people, and far and away, I've seen that, that the agents in this company they're forward thinking, obviously. And they're helpful and they're trying to grow their business and they're responsive and they'll reach out and help you with anything you have. And I would say also with that, the Facebook in the Facebook workplace, which I had never had an experience of working within that network it's phenomenal. And if you have a state, question or something that's related to, anything state related, that would be something that you might have a question around, something you might take to your broker. You can post in those groups. You can create groups around certain things that you're, maybe focused on. I'm seeing tons of groups around certain focuses, like, you guys talked about short sales. When those come around again and become a high focus again, I can just see how much collaboration is going on with these top agents around the country in these groups. And, it's just it's special until you see it and you get inside and you experience it. You can't really explain it, but it's not like anything I've experienced in any traditional brokerage.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of talk about the culture thing, and KW is big on culture, and I think they do a great job with it. But again, it's just the ability to create the culture and to be surrounding yourselves with people who have a vested interest in your success. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. The difference between a model of a franchise model and a model where it's basically an agent-owned company, everybody benefits from the success of the individual. And so we're all striving to be able to help better each other. And even if you're in the same market, you know, I'm teaming up with a couple of guys here in the local market in the East Bay, and we're working together to better ourselves, to be able to, you know, increase our production, because it helps everybody, you know, across the country that's involved in it.
Right. So now, Brett and Scott, you guys both created a calculator. I just want to make this point so that people know to look in the comments for this, because, you know, you did. I think both of you probably have done as much research or more than any agents that I've talked to that have moved to eXp. And having done that research, it's extremely valuable to get on the phone and you know, save a little bit of time when doing the research and have a conversation with you guys. So I believe, and Brett, is there a link that's posted in the comments for them to?
Yeah, there'll be a link coming up here shortly. So, I mean, if you're interested in understanding how the economics of this model compares to wherever you are, if you're at a traditional box brokerage like Coldwell Banker or something like that, or if you're at Keller Williams, you can enter in your numbers. There's kind of a short overview of what this model is, and then you can enter in your information. We'll get back to you with we put your numbers in this calculator, and you can see in kind of black and white dollars and cents a 4-year forecast of what it looks like if you just stay where you are in your current business environment, whereas if you moved over to this model. And I think that would have been helpful for me, right? Like, so I didn't have that tool. I actually built that tool because I had an offer from Compass and I had an offer from the Coldwell Banker affiliate. And obviously I was at Keller Williams, and I needed the thing about eXp is you are hearing all this buzz and excitement about it. And I think both Scott and myself, you know, are you know, trying to be thoughtful and make mindful decisions. And when we're making a big move like this, I've only moved my business a couple times in my career. And so being able to run the economics of it and see what that was with like black and white clarity. Okay, if I do this many deals here, this is what my net's going to be. This is what the future value that I potentially build, if there's any. And so, yeah, just in the link below, you'll see a link there says win before you start. Click on that, and there'll be a short little overview. And then at the end of that, you put your info in, and we'll get back to you with the numbers on that calculator if you want to see an analysis of what that looks like.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make that point. So definitely check that out. Get on the phone with these guys and learn that. So now I want to get into the top five. I've kind of recoined what you shared with us this morning as really the top 5 reasons that that anyone should really consider joining eXp. I think you really did a great job of doing the research and coming down to these are really the 5 reasons that I made this decision. And so your concerns initially were. First of all, you weren't looking to move, right? So, concerns were culture. Right. Hey, where I'm at, what's the culture going to be like? What's the support going to be like? And then, as you started looking at, deciphering whether this was a smart decision or not for you, you came down to, basically 5 things that really matter. And the first one had to do with, just mathematically, does this make sense? Right. So walk us through what you were looking at, how you compared the two, and what you came to find in doing that process.
Absolutely. I did a lot of research because, for me, again, being with KW for 7 years, we're not one to take a move lightly. Obviously we're uplifting myself, my staff, my business, which impacts my family and everything else. So we've got to do a lot of due diligence. I think number one, when you look at it, the easiest comparison for me for where I came from is eXp has a $16,000 cap. So basically you pay $16,000 to the company with your commissions. In our area, that might be, let's say 5 to 8 transactions. We're pretty fortunate. We've got a higher price point. Close 5 to 8 deals, you're on 100% commission moving forward. KW, you're going to pay a certain amount of money to the market center. Their cap might be $26,000. It could be in Brett's area. It could be more than, $32,000, $35,000. And you're going to have your $3,000 royalty, over to corporate since it's a franchised operation. So we looked at it, and the easiest calculation is to say it's going to save me $13,000 a year right off the bat, just based off of the cap that eXp offers agents. So that was probably the easiest one, which again, it's just that's an immediate financial benefit to people who cap. And I would say most agents, who have a decent business are going to cap in this area. So that was the first one.
Right.
The second one is kind of getting into the technology, the training. My background is technology. I was a programmer before I got into real estate. So, I'm pretty keen to following the different types of technology, and a lot of brokerages are toting technology, but how much are they actually using it? And the training is incredible. We kind of describe this eXp world, this virtual campus. And if for those of you at Keller Williams, or maybe you've been to a family reunion event, a 3-day event they hold once a year, it's incredible. I mean, you're walking around, you've got all these different types of classes you can go into in these auditoriums, these different classrooms. Well, eXp mimicked this in a virtual reality world, but actually took it to a next level. I mean, you've got 5 to 7 classes a day offered on a variety of topics for agents, in a variety of, whatever their production levels are, it can benefit them. And, that's 25 plus hours of weekly training that's available. And it's basically a family reunion on steroids 5 days a week. It doesn't stop. So, the technology and the training in and of itself is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's a completely new concept.
I'll tell you, the interesting point too, that with that is the feedback loop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been to a family reunion and they are phenomenal. It's amazing how huge they are. You definitely get your Fitbit steps in. But literally, the cost associated with attending those events over time is certainly, and I believe that attending live events is an absolute game changer and a must. But the feedback loop that happens, from the training that's being provided is so fast for the company to know, hey, look, this is stuff people like. We want to do more of this. I'm seeing it getting better and better and better, which is just another benefit of being cloud-based. That again, I didn't know that was going to be the case, but now that I'm seeing it and experiencing it, I'm seeing how much better they get every day with the content that they're sharing and the things that they know that we need to learn as agents.
Yeah, absolutely. And and the other thing with the technology, eXp offers either Commissions Inc. or conversion as part of the $50 a month tech fee. Now, I use Commissions Inc. for probably 3 or 4 years. I was grandfathered in at $1,200 a month, for the base product. So you're looking at a cost savings right there, being able to plug one of those systems in for $50. And those are top-notch systems for CRMs, for lead flow, for being able to follow up, things like that. Those are absolute top-notch systems, and that's included in the $50, for agents who want to take advantage of that.
No question. One of the things that I've that I would tell agents to be careful of right now, that I'm seeing happen across the country in every brokerage, is the ones that don't have much of a value proposition, that are trying to create a better value proposition to keep agents. They're creating technology, or they're leveraging technology one way or another to try to get you to put your database in there. You put all your deals in their database. And I literally just had a call this morning with an agent that was leaving, that left the company, came to eXp, and the broker's trying to keep 50% of every lead that was in her database, based on what she had put in her independent contractor agreement. It was a little sneaky. Actually, it was very sneaky.
You don't know what you're signing, right? Yeah.
Right. And you don't think about that, and especially, if you're an agent that's maybe newer in the business, or you're not, you haven't really, your career hasn't really taken off. You haven't really thought about it, but they're literally trying to put golden handcuffs on you. And I think that's a huge benefit, of being at eXp. You're utilizing technology that they've created a licensing agreement for you to use, but it's not their technology. You're not putting your leads in their database where you have to worry about if I ever decide for some reason. Again, I didn't think I was ever going to leave my independent company. It never occurred to me that I might leave. But if you're selling real estate somewhere today, you might want to be thinking about that. Where is your database, and be careful of what you're utilizing as far as technology. Long term, that's a bad strategy. You never know when you might want to leave. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. I just want to dovetail onto that, Jay, just because we talked about golden handcuffs, and some companies out here right now are offering golden carrots. Anytime when there's somebody putting something golden there, it's usually because the value intrinsically that they have to deliver isn't sufficient to get your attention. So they either got to buy you to come over, or try to keep you there because they don't want you to leave, because they know there's something else out there that's more valuable. And that's ultimately, what started me on that journey. was I had some, I turned down 2 golden carrots at other competing brokerages. So if anyone out there is kind of listening, there's the Compasses out there and the Coldwell Bankers that are offering to try to bring people over. That's one thing that be sure to read those contracts carefully. And if you're really trying to do an apples to apples comparison, do your homework, and that calculator that we've built will actually enable you to compare again, those different environments. One of the things, Scott, that you touched on about the training piece that I think is important because really what enabled me to grow my business was consistently just the coaching and the training, and Keller Williams, what is a kind of a best in class in that category. But the interesting thing about Keller Williams, it's really great if you're like a beginning agent and then you get up to say 15 deals a year. Their internal coaching within the office is sufficient and helpful. But once somebody gets beyond 5 to 10 deals, there's really, I found personally that there wasn't a lot offered there, except for at events like Mega Camp or Family Reunion, like Scott talked about. And the cool thing about eXp Cloud, is now that we do have this, we get to tap national talent, where before we could only tap that and draw from that national talent at regional events that happen maybe once or twice a year. Now we get to tap national talent on a daily basis through that eXp Cloud. So the content, the quality, the training and coaching is pretty exciting. And the other thing I'm excited about is, one of the pieces of coaching and training that really pushed my business forward was my relationship with you, Jay, and Mike Reese through the National Association of Expert Advisors. And that coaching, at that time I was glad to pay you guys. I was paying, I think, $1,500 a month, about $18,000 a year. And now through our relationship, basically Scott and anyone who joins and works with us will have access to that same coaching content that I was paying $18,000 a year for, and then the mastermind groups that were $30,000 a year. So it's pretty exciting to see. I'm excited to both, help Scott grow his own business, but coach him and have the influence that we can to help other East Bay agents that really want to grow. So Scott, what were your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, you talked about it before. We talked about kind of, looking at where we want to be in our business. And usually you're trying to mimic people that are a couple of levels up from you. And Brett, I know you're not one to toot your own horn on what you've been able to, accomplish with your business. But, Brett, you just did 140 units in San Jose. So we're talking about pretty significant prices there. Price points well over $1 million. And I know that you've done that, with your association with Mike and Jay. And also, we've seen a lot of very large names come over from different brokerages into eXp. Now, what's the benefit to them helping other people across the country? The reality is we're in this together. As an agent-owned company, we all have a vested interest in seeing other people become successful. So for myself, being able to align, with guys like you and a lot of the other big players in the industry to be able to, mimic that and be able to take our business to the next level, this is the environment to make that happen.
Yeah, love it.
Absolutely. So Jay, you mentioned, we've got the 5 benefits. I think I got through a couple here. I'm going to try to speed through the next few.
We're number 3.
Number 3. We're on big number 3. Number 3 is the stock. eXp is a publicly traded company. You can put forward 5% of your commissions to be purchasing stock at a 20% discount. So that right there in and of itself is kind of, putting money into your nest egg. And let's say if you didn't want to put in 5%, you wanted to put in a little bit, you're actually going to be awarded stock when you cap. And then when you attract people to the company and help make them successful and they cap, you're awarded stock again. And I can tell you on one finger how many companies I've been offered stock from. There's none, right? So that opportunity in and of itself is huge. The other piece of it is for people who cap, and let's say again in the East Bay, that might be 5 to 7, 8 transactions. Once you cap and you do another additional 20 transactions, so let's say that's maybe 25 to 28 transactions in a year for agents who do that, you're actually going to receive your $16,000 back in eXp stock. Who does that? Who does that? It's you can't find a model out there that provides agent-centric benefits such as something like that. Doesn't exist that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it makes it a no-brainer. And I think that's hopefully I hope we're pulling on the heartstrings of the agent that wants to grow, right? Because like if you really think about it, and I sold real estate for 20 years and tried multiple different investment vehicles over time, but never did I have ownership in something that that I was a part of building like this. And
yep.
it's part of the secret sauce. It really is. And it's one of the top biases I think that over my career and multiple levels that I've seen is it's when you have ownership in something, you just treat it a lot differently. And I think that it lends to the culture that you find at eXp. And the people who care, we care about this company, and we want to do what's best for this company, and we want to help each other grow. And and there's obviously compensation that's aligned to that as well. But there's no question that the stock opportunity is really a big piece of this. I think for long-term wealth creation, or if for nothing else, a potential exit strategy down the road. And you can earn that stock by doing nothing other than just what you do every day, which is when you sell a home or tell one of your friends to join, and they close a home, or when you cap, or just for hitting the cap, you get stock awards. So those are all just bonuses. So all right, so what's number? I guess we're counting down to number 2 at this point.
Okay, so number 2, I think this is a big thing, revenue sharing. And the question that I get a lot is, well, KW does profit sharing. So what's the difference between profit sharing and revenue sharing? KW actually started off a long time ago. Gary Keller started KW with a revenue sharing program. So you're looking at, when the company is profitable, when they make money, agents generate income for the company. They're going to spread that out to the other agents as a form of reward, right? So they started off like that, but it didn't quite work because they have a completely different model. It's a brick and mortar franchised based model. So the difference is you've got a company, that has a profit sharing model. They're basically taking in all the revenues that the company, the market center generates, and then they're going to pay off all of their expenses, right? So you've got your brick and mortar, you've got your lease, you've got your staff, you've got your utilities, you've got everything that's got to get paid out. You've got to pay the owner, right? What's left over then is distributed out to the other agents. And I wasn't actively involved in recruiting. I think I probably recruited maybe 10 people. And although it's nice to have the extra income, we love that part of what is actual residual income. It's a little bit different than revenue sharing. When we're talking about a revenue sharing model where we've got amount of money coming into, to the company, and that is actually paid out directly to the agents, you get rid of this overhead. And that's the beauty of putting together a cloud-based brokerage, because you are much more profitable. You can pay off and be able to, reward the agents a lot more than you can with really any other company that's offering anything else, like that. And I talk about, Brett, I'm going to kind of borrow an example that you've used before. We talk about what does it take to make $2,800 passive income, real passive income, right? Not that you're having to actually work towards it. Well, for a real estate agent, what they're typically going to do is they're going to invest in some real estate, right? They're going to buy a property. So let's say that you make $100,000 GCI, right? Gross commission income, $100,000, and you're looking to invest that into real estate somewhere to be, to get a rental property. Well, the reality is after you get hit with taxes and everything, you're going to be left with about $50,000. You take that $50K, Jay, we invest it in your backyard in Dallas, right? $250,000 property, put down $50,000. At the end of the year, you may make about $2,800. But the reality is that in our area, you're going to close maybe 5 to 7 transactions to generate that $100,000 GCI. That is a lot of work, right? I'm not saying it's hard to do. I think you guys will agree it's not hard to generate $100,000 GCI, but it's a lot of work to make that happen. Now let's take another way to make $2,800 passive income. You introduce eXp to an agent who you think would benefit their business, bring them on board, help them, continue to increase their business. You're awarded $2,800 once they cap. Simple as that.
Right. It's what's magical about that is over the course of time, and again, not going to say this is going to happen for everybody, but what I've experienced personally is once you close your first transaction and you get awarded stock, you kind of get excited. I don't care who you are. You get excited. Yep. And you start getting a little bit more serious about telling other people about it. And that's what actually is happening in our revenue share group. And it's growing so fast that I can't even get close to predicting it. We said we think we'll have 200 people by the end of Q1. We're at 570 or 80 at this point, which, we're a month past, the end of Q1. I think we were 440 at the end of Q1. So you don't have to be a recruiter. You just have to share the opportunity. Hey, you should take a look at this, and that's why, you probably, if you've been approached, which, I would be willing to bet most people have been approached. There's still so many people. I talk to somebody every day still that has never heard of eXp. So there's a tremendous opportunity in this that people just haven't heard of it. But, if you're watching this, you probably have been approached at some point, or you probably wouldn't be paying attention. And that's why people are approaching you. They're excited about their business. They're excited about the company they work for. And that's why we're here sharing this, is so that you can catch it and see it. This is a cool way to grow your business. It's a smart way. If you see a lot of smart people doing something, pay attention, right? Like, and I have that conversation just about every day. It's like, you know what? In fact, I just got a Facebook message right before we got on here from a guy that's been in our group for a long, long time, and finally, he saw one of the Facebook lives and he finally, hey, when are we going to, I need to talk to you about eXp. Tell me about what's going on. Why is everybody, what am I missing here? It's funny how that happens, but, and there's probably some people watching right now that it finally clicks. Like, okay, I need to ask a better question here. I need to figure out how can I work with these guys. But if you do, there's a link in here for you to have that conversation with Scott and Brett and go through the calculator and spend the time. You're running a business. Your real estate business is a business. Treat it as such, and make sure you're making a good decision for the long term, not just playing the short game. And I wish, these are things that I wish I had done myself in business, earlier on, thinking about the long term. Where is the best place for me to have my real estate business? I always thought that was independent, which is the direction that I ultimately went, and it's ultimately the direction most people end up going at some point. But it's that wasn't the right decision. This is a better way. So glad to be here. I know that. And now the number one reason, and this is what I think that people probably aren't thinking about. They're not looking at this opportunity in this way, and that's why I love that it was your number one. So share what was your number one takeaway and real reason that you're joining eXp.
Sure. Jay, you mind if I back up real quick and just make another point on the revenue sharing before
Absolutely.
we move on?
Yeah.
The revenue sharing, eXp has copied a lot of the great aspects of Keller Williams model. So we kind of touched on, the $2,800 you bring in an agent, but there's a lot more levels to be able to earn more income. And a lot of people say, like you said, Jay, I'm not a recruiter. I don't want to spend my time recruiting. That's fine. And here's how I look at this. I just moved offices, and across the street from me is this awesome taqueria. I love Mexican food, right? And I know at least 10 people who also love Mexican food. So if I know somebody who has a common interest with me, and I go over and I try that Mexican spot, and I say, talk to some people and say, you've got to try this. The service is amazing. The food is fantastic. You should give this a shot and try it. I know on the other side, if I have a great experience within eXp, I know some people who it might be a good fit for. I'm going to say, you should look into it. You should, see if it would be a good fit, a good opportunity for you. So it's really being able to add value to people's business and help them to be able to operate at a higher level. So we don't think of it as recruiting. It's opening the door of opportunity to people who you think would, provide a great benefit for.
Right. And let me ask this question. I'm curious kind of the way I should frame this, but you guys are both givers, and I think that this is created a company of givers, and that's pretty cool. However, it is a different dynamic than what we typically may treat agents in our office today, right? So and I would ask if even if you were to recruit or tell someone, you had 10 you said that you brought on to Keller Williams, how much time did you invest with helping them with their business when they came to Keller Williams? Was that even why would you, right? Like the thought process is just completely different in a different company. So I don't know if that makes any sense to talk about, but how do y'all look at this different now?
Go ahead.
A couple things. So we kind of talked a little bit about it earlier, but one principle in business, and it's clearly demonstrated here in Silicon Valley, is when you bring talented, people together and you give them a stake in the outcome, basically compensation drives behavior. All the best companies in Silicon Valley have been built by getting a great, talented team of people together and then offering them a piece of the company. So giving them a piece of the company, giving them a stake in the outcome. When people become owners, they just think differently. And so that is one of the things that I saw in this model. And, I again, same thing. I with Keller Williams didn't have any pain points at Keller. Like, I liked the environment I was in. I was a highly profitable business. So when I looked at this, and I looked at the stock piece and I looked at the revenue share piece, I said, well, how stable or steady is this, this stock and the revenue share going to be? How durable is it, of an asset or an income stream? And the only thing I could really compare it to is Keller Williams. And if you look at how Gary Keller built Keller Williams, he had a great little brokerage in Austin, Texas. And he built that about as big as he could and made it awesome. He had dominant market share in that market. He had the best agents in his offices. And he said, how can I make this bigger and better? He then sent a letter out to the top 200 agents across the United States that were making over $1 million a year and said, hey, come on out to Austin. I'll put you up, I'll pay for your hotel, but we're going to do this project and we're going to kind of mastermind and share ideas and collaborate. And they did. And out of that process came the Red Book, right? Which was the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, became the Bible for people building teams and really just how to run a real estate business at a high level. What he did from there is, after he wrote that Red Book, eventually, as his business was continuing to grow, he reached out to some of those people if they were in Lawton, Oklahoma, and say, hey, Jay Kinder, you came and collaborated on our project. I'm thinking of opening an office out there. I'm going to do that, and I'll give you 5% of the franchise, or that franchise office, if you join forces with me. And so he did that across the country. And those 100 agents became what's called Gary's Top 100 or Gary's Group. And that became the innovation engine that really drove Keller Williams forward over the last 20 years. It was the first real mastermind group in real estate and of the best people in the country innovating at a high level. And so, the thing that we have here now is that it's the same thing. That if you take a step back and study who are the people who are moving over to eXp, it is these top 100, 200 agents in the country that are these first movers, and that talent is matriculating over here. And guess what? Just like Keller Williams, they have a piece of the outcome. They got a stake in the game. They get a piece of stock. Just like Gary Keller's franchise offices that offered profit share, well, they offer the revenue share. So it is the same model, but what we're seeing is, because we're all owners, there's a deeper collaboration. Compensation drives behavior. So just like Scott and I were buddies, right? In the past, we didn't really have any financial alignment per se, other than we were with Keller Williams together. But if I helped Scott or didn't help Scott, it didn't really help my business at all. But now being an owner in the company, if Scott needs some information, I don't know, on an expired campaign, I'm more apt than before to because I'm financially incented to make sure that I help him, because it does benefit me. And so that's one of the things that, it's a principle that's grown all the great companies in Silicon Valley, that's layered into here in this model that is pretty awesome, And I think we're just starting to see the effects of what that will be. And that's really, when I did my final analysis, I said, oh, well, I got this offer here and this offer here. Part of this thing, disruption's coming. The purple brick and Redfin and Open Door, $2 billion is coming into this industry, and they're all coming to attack, the market and disrupt the agent. And when you step back and look at it, who's going to be left standing? Is it going to be, a company that's well funded and it's got a CEO that's outside of real estate that doesn't understand the agent and the consumer? In my assessment, it's going to be the guys and gals, those top people in the country that are just pushing it forward and helping. Those are the people I'm going to bet on. And now we're all financially aligned. So it's pretty cool. And I'm just excited to be in deeper relationship with Scott now and helping him out. So sorry, I ran on a little rant there. I don't know if that was the question.
That was all good and all true, Brett. And I think that kind of segues us into, really the number one reason that I joined this company is to be able to partner with guys like you guys and other people in, across the nation who are part of eXp, who have a vested interest in helping each other. When we talk about opportunity and looking and assessing an opportunity, we're talking about the right place and the right time, right? And absolutely, I think that we have both of those components in place. eXp is the right place and the right time is absolutely now, because we are in the beginning growth stages of this company that I feel personally is going to make a paradigm shift. It's going to completely redefine the way that real estate agents view, how the brokerage works. And so I think that we're we're at just the cusp of that happening. We're starting to see that. But on top of the right place and the right time, it's partnering yourself with the right people, the right team, within the company, within the organization, that's going to provide you the most benefit and the most value as an agent to help you succeed and help you, really hit those goals. We're looking to hit right now, our team is my assistant and I, she's fantastic. We're looking to hit probably about 40 units this year, but, we're looking to scale that up, and be able to get up to hit some of those real higher numbers, get into the 3 digits. And, for me, it's being able to utilize and network with and mastermind with some of the top groups out there. And then Jay, obviously, Brett, you mentioned it before, having access to the NAEA material, that's a gold mine right there. I mean, that's stuff that you can't get access to. It's hard to really quantify and qualify what that means to you until you're a part of it, until you're actually doing it.
Absolutely, no doubt. If you haven't experienced that, and what I love about this collaboration, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the goals that you have is to collaborate with 10 agents that are in your area that want to collaborate on that journey of growing, from where you're at to 50 and then to 100 transactions.
Yeah.
And that's a collaboration that I've never really seen happen until now within this company, within this framework. And as Brett brilliantly articulated, that compensation drives behavior. And so, for those that are interested, if you're in the East Bay or San Francisco market, get a hold of Scott and have this conversation and at least look at the calculator and determine if this is a good fit for you. But I think, for the agents that are growth minded and want to collaborate and really want to do more, obviously, it's easy to make $100,000 in your market. But for those of you who aspire for more and want to really grow and learn and collaborate with the top minds in real estate, that's an opportunity for you. So I just want to make that, because I know that was part of what your goal was, and you wanted to make sure that we shared here on this Facebook Live.
No, Scott,
absolutely.
Go ahead, Scott. I was going to say, well, Scott and I are going to be working together to we'll have a Bay Area mastermind for agents that are at varying levels of production that want to push. If you're at 10 or 15 deals and you're just trying to get to 25, or if you're at 25 you want to get to 50 units, or if you're at 50 and you want to get to 100, we're going to segment out the groups so we all can uniquely add value to each other. But you're going to get best practices, and you're going to get access to the same coaching content, Jay, that I was. I feel like I'm ripping you off a little bit, but it's the same content that I really used to build my business to 140 units here in Silicon Valley. That I was paying $18,000 a year for to get access to. You'll have access to all of that, as well as the mastermind group that was a $30,000 a year investment. But given that opportunity again, I'd do it in a heartbeat, because you talk about collapsing time frames and then accelerating your path to success by your number one reason, Scott, was just get aligned with an interrelationship with the people who are just that next level up, that you can draft from them, like you're all racing together, and then just get there a little quicker, a little easier. So but I'm excited about that, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said before, I think we've got, with this company, with this opportunity, we have an opportunity to do something very, very special, to be able to have a very close, cohesive group that we can help to become successful, help to leverage, a lot of the different people that are involved in it, people like Brett, a lot of the other folks in the area, and, just help to train, to mentor, help to take people to the next level and create a culture that really doesn't exist in real estate, in my mind, at this point. And that's the big thing.
Cool.
Absolutely. And it's making real estate fun again.
It is, absolutely, making real estate fun. And you know what? If you make a little bit of extra money along the way, that's okay too.
I think I'm obligated to give that quote to Gene Frederick as the official author of that quote. So I think I'm required to say that anytime I use it, is what he told me.
All right. Cool. I think, kind of to wrap it up, the last thing in my due diligence is I sat down with Brett and his business partner, Chris, in San Jose, and we ran through the calculator. We can talk about conceptually, how does this look? What does this look like? But when you actually sit down and you run the numbers and you say, based off of the business I'm doing now, based off the projected business I see myself doing over the next 4 years, what is the apples to apples difference between where I came from and where I'm looking to go with eXp? And we're talking about, the savings and just, let's say what you're paying to the company right off the bat, and when you go to 100%, commission. But also we're looking at, the potential revenue sharing, look at the potential stock. When I looked at that, I mean, we're talking about well over $500,000 difference in a period of 4 years. So when you have that in front of you, and you look at this and saying, this completely changes the outlook, the compensation structure of my business without changing a lot, which would be the same if I was, at Keller Williams or somewhere else. I'm doing the same business, but here's the benefit to me being with this company. That was the clincher. That was the eye opener to being able to say, here's what's possible with this. And again, kudos to Brett. I mean, this calculator you put together is amazing. It puts things into perspective and it helps you to make a decision. Does this make sense for me financially? Does this make sense for me to move my business over to? And that helps to clarify that.
Right. So go watch that video. Click on the link, watch the video, and set up some time to have that conversation and get clear on your business and your future. Will be my advice to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Scott, welcome aboard, my friend. I'm looking forward to masterminding with you and helping you some more with your business and having some more great conversations. Mr. Jennings, thank you again. As always, it's a pleasure to have you by my side here digitally. Here you go, over here. So appreciate you guys. And thanks for watching, everybody. And we really appreciate you. And we'll see you at the top or from the top.
We're from the top.
All right, you guys, take care. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.